Welcome everyone to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix Season 3. I hate it. I hate it so much. Oh, it's just so bad. I mean, the AI are good at the track and it's just boring. Sorry, I hate shitting on this circuit. I really do. I wish it was more fun for me to drive because obviously, like, I have to sit and drive it and I have to try in the Grand Prix to make it entertaining, to make it into a video for you to find entertaining, etc, etc, blah, blah, blah. Plan for this weekend, of course, just make them, I tried to make the McLaren as skinny as possible, even skinnier than I did in Canada. I'm running 1-1 wings, because why not? You know, lose a bit of time in the first and the second sector and then try and gain it all back in straight lines in the third sector. You can see there it has obviously, you know, compromised my turn 2. Once again, I'm on my fast qualifying lap as everyone else is coming out the pits. But, you know, is what it is. I'm kind of hoping to get a little bit of slipstream at some point on this lap as we are just over or just under a tenth down now on our best time. That currently has us in P12. I'm kind of taking a interesting line looking back at the footage here. Anyway, as we come to the second sector split, we're 3.5 tenths up on our best, and we've apparently set a purple middle sector, but I'm 2.9 down on pole position because of course I am. The benefit here that I'm seeing is we are now gaining and gaining. We've got Max Verstappen as a slingshot at the end of our lap, and we build to over 7 tenths up on our own delta. Open up DRS, 211 miles an hour in the Honda rocket ship across the line, and it puts us P7. Best I could kind of hope for, really. I had no fuel left to go for another run, so I just pulled off the side of the circuit, and of course qualifying came to an end. Hamilton, Bottas, fastest 2 cars, not very surprised by that. Daniel Ricciardo, 3rd, bit surprising. Kimi, Danny, 4th. Alonso, 5th, very surprising. But the gap from Alonso to ourselves, only 3 tenths of a second. So 5th to 10th, only 3 tenths. So that's, it's alright. It's not too bad, actually. But now, of course, we have the race to deal with here. Interestingly enough, for Baku, it's going to be sunny at the start, and it's going to rain later on in the race. So yeah, that traditional one-stop, I can't really work anything out with that strategy it's given me on the screen there, because it's going to get to the crossover point at some point around about lap 10, and we don't want to be making any additional pit stops for dry tyres, then being on them for 2 laps before we go for wet tyres. So we'll factor that in later on in the Grand Prix. But for now, we have 5 red lights. Lights are out and away we go for the Season 3 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It's a good start from Sebastian Vettel. The field is going to bunch up ahead of me, so I've just gone straight on to try and avoid any kind of contact there. That's allowed Vettel to get power back past us. We've now got Kvyat down our inside into turn 2. Vettel going nice and slow. We're going to try and pinch ourselves between Perez and Kvyat. Kvyat's had a lightning start. He's gone up to 10th from 7th in one corner there. Perez on our outside. We're going to be in the slipstream, though, of Danny Kvyat. We're going to pull to the inside of the Toro Rosso car, and that's going to be us down the inside. Braking, we got caught by one of the cars. I'm not sure who. We just kept it out of the wall, though, at the end of that straight, and that's put us up into P7. And next target is Max Verstappen. It looks like we've got one car powering off into the distance, and then a pack of 5 cars there, all stuck together. So let's get our foot down and see if we can catch anyone, or if we just drop down the field like we normally do around Baku. But as we come up into the castle section and actually cut on to lap 2, so we have actually stayed close to Verstappen ahead of us. I mean, I wouldn't call this close, but I'd call it, you know, we haven't dropped back. We're not 2 seconds a lap off the pace, at least of Verstappen, maybe off the front guys, maybe even slower. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention. Anyway, Hamilton sets the pace on a 44.3, and look at the speed that we've got with this low downforce just off the slipstream of Verstappen. Are we going to be able to make a move? We think about it, but it would have been a ridiculous lunge into turn 1 at that sort of speed, and I thought against it because I probably got past Verstappen and just ploughed into the side pod of Esteban Ocon, and that's not exactly what we want to be doing. But the next lap, we are that much closer to Max Verstappen, and we're just going to pull out, very similar to the end of our qualifying lap actually. We're going to pull out from behind him, open up the DRS, get straight back into the slipstream of Esteban Ocon, and that's us up into P6. And then at lap 4, Alonso up here is defending against Esteban Ocon. That's actually going to slope the pair of them down. Ocon And Alonso's tyres getting interlocked there on the traction out of the left-hander, but now we're going to go into the right. Alonso fighting Ocon. Is that going to put him into our clutches? It's looking like that way at the moment, but we're not able to get through, and this slightly longer left-hander is not exactly an overtaking opportunity, so we're going to have to sit back and be patient. Alonso is looking very slow at this point of the Grand Prix, though, so lap 4, end of it, we got DRS open. Alonso loses 4th, then loses 5th, as we jump up to 4th, but we've pinched ourselves very tight. We've had to brake early to get ourselves prepared for the corner. We squeeze Ocon off the circuit, but that is us up into P4. Next up is Kimi Räikkönen, and I personally don't think we're going to be challenging the Ferrari anytime soon. So rain in 10 to 15 minutes is just heard from the lovely Jeff, our race engineer. Hamilton in the pits though, at the end of lap 7, beginning of lap 8, so he clearly was going to be planning for a 2-stop anyway, but he now definitely has to make a second pit stop because he's going to have to fit some wet tyres. Ocon's gone down our inside of the left-hander, so that means we have got to jump ourselves up to Rich. It's now a drag race between ourselves and the other Force India with the Mercedes power, and you can just see the fact I'm running the low downforce there, that we're able to pull ahead quite comfortably of the other Force India by the braking zone. But now it was getting a bit interesting at this point because it's getting near the pit stop phase. You know, we're due to come in around lap 10, which we jump to now, as Hamilton is now the car behind us. We've taken a hell of a lot of curb off that left-hander. We've had to go defensive against Hamilton, who's sent it straight down our inside there, but he's pinched himself quite tight on the apex. We go wide. We are slow on getting on the power, though, compared to Hamilton, and we now go side by side with him through the left-hander into the right-hander. This is going to end in tears. Hamilton backs out of it. That was that was definitely a contest of who's got the bigger balls, and it appeared to be ourselves. But I said here, and you just heard the engineer, our pit window is open. I'm not coming in this lap because it's due to rain any minute now. We saw on the lap indicator that the rain's going to be coming down shortly, so we're going to have to stick it out on these worn super soft tyres. And you can see now, lap 12, it is definitely that lap. Bottas has already come in to fit the soft compound tyre, and it started raining. That's why he's so much closer to us now. But you can see that he's peeling off on the left-hand side. So am I. End of lap 12. I'm coming in, and I'm coming in for a set of intermediates. Now, DRS is still enabled at this point, so it's risky. It's not quite the crossover period at the moment. And Bottas has fitted mediums. I've got no idea what that is all about. Anyway, we're coming in. We're going straight onto the intermediate tyre. We've been held in the pits by a Toro Rosso and a Renault, but Bottas was held as well. We've actually been able to jump Valtteri in the pit stop phase, so I'm not going to complain about that too loudly whatsoever, and everyone else appears to have been coming in for a pit stop, so Ricciardo goes ahead of us there. Verstappen has already come in, and he's on the soft tyres, so he's now jumped ahead of us, but they're going to have to pit for intermediate or wet tyres. So now we are questionably on the correct tyre. We're on the correct tyre for long term. We're not on the correct tyre for short term. End of lap 13. The rain is coming down a little bit heavier. And you can see Bottas is right up behind us there on his medium tyre. But he is going to have to make another pit stop. Is he going to do so this lap? Indeed he is. You see him pulling off to the left-hand side. DRS disabled. It's now the crossover point, and everyone that's in the pits is now fitting intermediate tyres. So we come round the first corner. We're up into P4. Fernando Alonso up into P3, so he went long, even longer than I did on his first set of tyres, and he's been able to jump us. So credit to Fernando for getting the tyres to go that long. I certainly couldn't, but end of lap 14, he's looking very slow and very unsure on these tyres. So, and I will admit, obviously, with my setup that I'd used, I didn't look for what the weather was going to be like in the race, so I'm certainly not in a good position right now as we pull ahead of Alonso, who pits again. I don't know what he's doing. Verstappen, though, has made his pit stop. He went for another lap, so he pitted end of lap 14. That's inherited us second place, but then we have Sebastian Vettel, who dives it down the inside of the left-hander, and because of my low downforce, I have approximately -10 grip. So I was like, you know what, Vettel, I'm not even going to fight you. You go ahead. Daniel Ricciardo's out the Grand Prix for the second race in a row. Poor bad luck for Daniel just there, unfortunate, but yeah, Vettel got ahead of me on lap 15, and that was kind of all she wrote, because Vettel just disappeared down the road. Verstappen caught me, and Massa and Bottas, I believe that is back there. I'm not 100% sure. Yes, it is indeed Valtteri Bottas, as we are going up to the first corner. And you can see here, we're in the 59s, and Vettel passed us on lap 15, and on lap 21, he's 25 seconds ahead of me. He's lapping 5 seconds a lap faster by the end of lap 25, beginning of lap 26, he was 50 seconds down the road. I was 5 seconds a lap off the pace. You can see here, though, it has transitioned. This is now the weather where you would have full wet tyres on. But I'm having to wrestle this car on intermediate, the most worn set of intermediate tyres on the field, with 1-1 wings around the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And it was, honestly, it was the most entertained I had ever been driving around this track, because I had to be so slow. And normally, when I'm driving, if I'm slow for the sake of, like, protecting the car and just bringing the car home, it makes me make mistakes very easily. But at this point, I had a train of about 6 cars behind me. I couldn't make mistakes. Kimi Räikkönen comes across the line to win the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, so it's a Ferrari 1-2. You can see Verstappen, he's up behind me, but the way I was driving, I just didn't give him the opportunity to get past me. But look at how slow I'm going, just trying to control the car and bring it home. I couldn't attack corners because of the low downforce, and that's why I was just so off the pace, just having to fight the car on every aspect. It was painful. Honestly, it was painful, and I'm just showing you the whole last lap unedited, just to show you that how difficult it was and how slow I was going for sort of like the last 5 laps, especially when it got to this level of rain, because it was time for the full wet tyre, and I'm on worn intermediates. I'm nearly a minute behind Sebastian Vettel. Like, it was 50 seconds at the start of the lap. It's now 57 seconds. You know, that's how slow we were going. But we've come out the final corner that required any traction. We've gone through the left-right. We've kept it just out of the wall. We can bump it up to rich mix. And due to our wings now, we finally look like we're going to be able to bring it home across the line. Verstappen can't challenge us in our slipstream. So, after all that whining, it's P3 in Baku.
Great work. Well done. We're really happy with the podium here.
Oh, here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. It's Ferrari on the top step once more.
So Raikkonen wins at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, 17 seconds ahead of Vettel, who was a full minute ahead of us in P3. Verstappen P4, Bottas P5, Alonso bringing it home in the points for P6, and Perez, Massa, Palmer and Stroll rounding out the other top 10. Hamilton again just having a miserable weekend, 4 stops and P16 for Lewis Hamilton. You can see here now the Drivers' Championship. With that result, we have gone 46 points ahead of Valtteri Bottas, and then it's Kimi Räikkönen. So it's the 2 Finns are the closest up behind us for the Drivers' World Championship. I'm nearly 2 whole Grand Prix victories ahead of Valtteri Bottas there, so we're building a nice little lead. But we're going to be going on to a string of tracks soon that don't really suit me. In the constructors' standings, McLaren lead the way, still 27 points ahead of Ferrari, who had an excellent weekend. Of course, Mercedes had a poor weekend; they've dropped to 3rd, and then obviously Red Bull are a bit further back just there. So it's about us retaining the Drivers' Championship lead and making sure we get enough points in the constructors' standings, because I do want to get both titles. Obviously, drivers matters the most to me, and constructors still matters, but that's obviously for the team just there. Do just want to give a quick, obviously, error correction, because I believe I made a comment a couple of videos back about we haven't not been on the podium. Of course, if we remember back to the season opener, we were P4, but every race since then, weirdly enough, we've either been 1st or 3rd. We haven't actually had a 2nd place yet this season, so but yeah, so, you know, 8 races in, 7 podiums, and one that wasn't a podium was 4th. Is pretty decent running. Still don't like the circuit, but yeah, it was a bit of an odd race, and just to be so slow, it was embarrassing. It really was. But it's out the way for the final season that, of course, we're going to be having. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and comment any feedback down below. Next time out, it's the Austrian Grand Prix. We're going now to one of, we've gone from a favourite of mine in Canada to a in Baku to another favourite of mine in Austria. So we're going to see, obviously, how that turns out for us. If you do want to be kept up to date with the content that comes to the channel, remember to subscribe and enable them notifications. That way you'll never miss an upload. Hopefully, fingers crossed, YouTube sub boxes, you know what I'm saying. I will see you all next time.